All right, we are back with another culture shout out. I'm Chris Wink. I'm the CEO and the co-founder of Technically, the innovation economy news site that helps host network, which you're a part of. Thank you for being here. 50 plus companies, hundreds of jobs. Do poke around the expo booths to meet many great companies, one of which is Stratis, who we're going to hear a little bit about what it's like working there. Shawn Doyle, hello. Thanks for being here.
Hello. Thank you. Yeah.
Of course. Let's start with some basics. Who are you? What's your title? What do you do at Stratis? And why do you like working there? Why is it a good fit for you?
Yeah. I have a dual role. So I'm our director of culture and software engineer. On software engineer, I deal with our access systems, and that's kind of the more self-explanatory part of it. Director of culture is a role that a lot of people have heard of, but yeah, the way I describe it is like I'm kind of like a people gardener. Like growth is important to us, and same way that a gardener can't make plants grow, but can do a lot around the sides to make sure that the environment's right for it. I kind of do that with our company. So, and yeah, part of the reason I
was going to just say,
part of the reason
I love the gardening. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. So yeah, part of the reason I like working for Stratis is really we are a company that really respects people. We've been able to make a really solid number of great hires, and so we've got a culture that is now kind of self-sustaining. So we've had enough great people come on that where it's a very supportive place to work, and people care and love one another. So
that's beautiful. I stepped on you a couple times there because I was trying to say I love the gardening metaphor around culture, because it's so apt. I remember in an interview someone pointed out your organization has a culture whether you're paying attention to it or not. Just like in your backyard somewhere, there are plants growing whether you want them to or not.
Right.
It might be weeds, it might be flowers. That kind of depends on the attention you pay. I don't know if I know of a situation where it's someone in engineering who's also culture minded. I love that. Why you? Why is culture important to you?
Yeah. So it's actually I'm a career changer. So I about 5.5 years ago, I made the change and did a boot camp. So joined Stratis 4 years ago, but before that, I was a instructor for colleges. So college writing instructor for 11 plus years. And I always kind of said that like software engineering at the beginning is like my career, and teaching is my vocation. And with culture and having a great team, it's actually, I thought I would miss teaching more. But one of the things that I didn't like about teaching is that you spend so much time and you invest so much with the people who are in your classroom, and then they leave and you don't get to see the results. And one of the great things about working in a company with people is that you get to see them every day, but you also get to see them over the course of months and years, and see people who came in as like interns who are now stepping up into larger engineering roles and building out their own features. It's a lot more gratifying than I initially thought it would be.
It's really beautiful. Let's circle back to that, but let's hit folks with what are some priority roles you're hiring for that I assume tells us something about the challenges or opportunities you guys see in front of you.
Yeah, so we are IoT for multifamily, and that means that we have engineering roles pretty much up and down the stack. So we have a web apps lead that we're hiring for. We have some software engineers going to our accounts team. We also have a couple embedded engineers because we do some work with our own devices and manufacturing, and a number of other engineering and marketing. We have a sales engineer role. So lots of them out there, and we expect a lot more coming pretty soon because we're about to launch Community Connect, which is Stratis plus a number of other RealPage companies. Last fall, we were acquired, merged with RealPage, which is a much larger multifamily industry software. And there's a number of other great companies. Chirp and is one that we've been working with, White Sky for Internet. And so we're going to be able to offer a much more holistic solution for apartments and buildings to manage their IoT, offer Wi-Fi, and create a resident experience that can do things like incentivize saving of energy and really hopefully have an impact on the reducing the carbon footprint of those buildings.
I want to hear a bit more about team culture and values. I think you're clearly alluding to, but just noting in the chat, a few people are calling out, and I see in the Q&A about career changers. So you struck a nerve for folks. We technically, I know, reporting often 1.5 million software developers in the US today. That's going to grow by 22% over the next 10 years, one of the fastest growing role types. And so our economy needs career changers. Is that something that you at Stratis, do you guys talk about that? Is that are you an exception, or are you something that you guys think is an opportunity?
I'm definitely not an exception at our company. So we whenever we're interviewing someone, we're looking at where they're at, but also where they could be, and what it would take to get them there. And looking at it like that way, we see a lot of career changers come in where they have enough where if we have the role, we can put them in and we know they'll grow in the role. The nice part about that is that when somebody can come in that role and really learn the system, and we have a very complex system with the number of devices that we support, when they can come in that role and have that time to learn the system, then they become like the experts. So people who've come in and done like support engineering for us have a more holistic view of this system that we have than I do. So yeah, I don't know the exact breakdown, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was like around 40 or 50% of people who have come in without a traditional CS degree.
James quotes you. I mean, we got to get James writing for Technical because he got the money quote from you, where they're at and where they could be. I think that's dead on. You got some compliments there on that. Tell me a little bit about how you would identify Stratis culture. I hear you're the director of culture, so tell us a bit about the culture that you're directing. How would you describe it to someone? What's it like? What are the values you guys stand for? If someone wanted to look for a role based on the value and culture, what would they want to know about Stratis?
Yeah, I think a lot of companies talk about their company like family, and I think a lot of times that can translate to like everybody's kind of friends and they hang out, and there's like a group that like feels really tightly connected. What I try to talk about with our culture is like we're like extended family who have really good family reunions. So there's like a connection and people care about each other here, but it's also not a place where you have to like be one kind of person, or you have to like hang out Fridays after work to like get ahead in the company. Although when we had the people in the office, there are frequently people hanging out after work on Friday. So that's kind of what I think the primary part of that is. And my contribution there is really there's a executive coach, Jerry Colonna, who always talks about love, safety, and belonging as kind of like the three elements of what humans need. And those are what I think about when I think about what we need in place for people to grow. So.
I have a couple last questions, but I want to turn to some audience Q&A. Keep those coming in the Q&A or the chat. I'm checking out both of them. But Sten asks, yeah, I guess actually about your processes. Stratis, are you guys agile? I guess if not, what methodology are you guys working in? Is that a direction you guys talk about? How on board is a team with whatever software development methodology you guys do follow?
Yeah, we're pretty agile. We do the 2-week sprints, and we have a pretty good rhythm of sprint planning and requirements moving forward. I think we started as a startup that really was looking for any opportunities that we have. And so we were agile, but we've also had sprints that we pivoted in the middle of it because there were just a opportunity to be in one building that if we pressed on another area, we did that. We're much more formally agile now where the roadmap is pretty well set and the features are we have a good base feature set, and now we're just trying to capitalize on that.
A brief follow-up on that. I know you mentioned you care not only about where people are at, but also where they could be. Just curious though, when you're looking at folks, if folks come to the Stratis booth, is there a tech stack that you really want people to be comfortable with to even show up? Like what are you looking for to make sure people might be able to succeed at Stratis?
Yeah. So like right now the positions we have advertised are mid to senior level. So what we would look at in those positions would be, we look for languages that are like the languages that we use. So primarily on the back end, we're using Python. But if somebody's done work in Node or if they've done Java or some other back end language, we'll interview them. We really try to think more about what they've done with the languages that they've used rather than what the specific languages are, because if you might have been programming in Python, but you've just been picking up like tickets where you haven't been building features and you don't have like the comfort to plan it out like that, then that's not as valuable as somebody who might be working in a language that's like Python, but they've gone through and they've designed their own features. They've seen it from like start to completion to shipping. And so those are the kind of things that we look at.
That's great. That's great. So wrapping up on our time, guys, thanks for your questions. You have any tips, advice for folks? How do they put their best foot forward if they want to join this Stratis team? What should they be looking at, coming with? What's a great start to a conversation at the Stratis booth or an outreach effort?
I think, I think the best thing that somebody can do is be curious and I think we prioritize listeners as well. We're in a position where it's a very complex system, and it's also going out to people who are not necessarily trained or in a position to be in tech, and so we have to make it work for them, because if you're working on a property, you're not signing up necessarily to run a network. And so, if people come in and they show they're like really good listeners and ambitious and can learn, those are the ones that get our attention.
That's great. Shawn, thank you for being here. you guys can check out Shawn and the Stratis team over in the Stratis booth. If not, check out their site otherwise. And looks like you already have some people in the chat that want to talk to you, Shawn. So you're going to be met over
All
at the
right.
booth.
Sounds great.
I believe it. All right. Thanks for being here, Shawn.
Thank you.
All right.